My name's Anna Richardson, and I am a senior media and entertainment arts management major.
My name's Lanie Leach, and I'm also a senior media and entertainment arts management major.
Cool. And this is just our project proposal for our senior project. Our faculty advisor is Kim Pliskota, and she's going to be guiding us throughout this whole process. Cool. So just to start off with, we wanted to talk a little bit about our experience in the program and how that's kind of led us to where we are today. So my sophomore year, I wanted to get more involved in the program, and John Pliskota contacted me about basically rebranding the old record label, South City Records, and getting it started back up and running again, which we wound up doing. And this was all through the MEA 300 class. So we were part of the first group of students that was part of Southern Miss Student Media, and we kind of got 601 Entertainment, which is the rebranded record label, off the ground. And a lot of these experiences with 601 really informed our project. So through 601, we got to do a lot of event management, and we were actually able to throw a few concerts. At the same time that we were doing all of these things for 601 last fall, we were also enrolled in MEA 250, which is the Intro to Design class with Kim. And that really helped solidify our background in design as we started rebranding the record label. And it really just informed a lot of our decisions that we were making on sort of the social media side, and when we had to make posters for the events, that sort of thing. So both Lanie and I have minors outside of the program, and mine specifically is in marketing. I really would love to do festival marketing one day, and so this kind of collision of MEA 250 and 601 at the same time was sort of the catalyst for all of our senior project and where we are now, because it really showed us how we can use design in event management.
Yeah, so Anna said that we both do have minors, and mine is in PR and advertising. I've jumped around a lot just as a student in college, and I've had a lot of different experiences. I've had experience in all sides of media pretty much, so journalism, you name it at this point. So I did want to like come back to, being able to write and stuff. So PR seemed like a really good spot for me. Um, and then also with PR and advertising, they're starting to teach us a lot about the social media aspects and stuff. So I've been able to use that with a job that I have with Lucky Rabbit, and using that for 601 Entertainment as well. So when we were rebranding everything, a lot of that was happening on social media. And I do have examples of that to come to show you like what all we had done. So next slide. So here are some of the examples of the posters that we created for our events through 601 Entertainment. The first one is our Dead Week Beats poster, and this poster was for a big concert that we had fall 2019 during Dead Week, hence the name Dead Week Beats. Then the next poster is Open Mic Night, which we started to have every Wednesday night in Cook Library in Starbucks specifically, and it was run from roughly 9 to 10:45. And it ended up being a really big success, and we did have like a lot of people come back all the time, and it was just so much fun. And then the next one is our poster from our yacht club show. So Ryan Kaiser's a student here at Southern Miss, and he has a stage name, Yacht Club. So we wanted to show his work, and we threw a show for him basically. So one thing to note with all of these posters is, yes, they're all different and they have different elements within them, but they do go together. So you can see the subtle hints of the different yellows and things like that. So we did have that in mind whenever we were throwing a show, that we wanted to have everything still like match, but have the different aspects for the different events. So this next slide is showing y'all some of my personal, examples of things that I've done with MEA 250. So here's like poster that I've done of myself, a poster for the John Primer show, and then I have a business card up here, and then I have made shirt designs for Yacht Club, and he's actually purchased 2 of those, so that was been really cool. So these are just, more broad examples of the things that we are capable of. This next slide is the social media copy that we created through 601 Entertainment. during its peak, when we were doing Dead Week Beats, we found that we were reaching over 1,000 people who would come to our page. So that was just awesome to see. You can see how we've like made everything really just go together very well using specific color schemes. Even in like the copy that we've written, you can see that there's like a certain tone with everything. It's very relaxed, but also kind of straightforward. So I think that's been a really cool way to see how everything's come together.
Cool. These are just some of my design examples. Basically, this was a website that I created for myself, and then a Facebook profile picture and a cover photo. So you can kind of see just my own personal style in design, and then how that can translate across multiple areas. While they may not seem at first glance to go together, like right off the bat, you can clearly see the same colors and the same style throughout all of them. And we just wanted to include some of these design examples so you can see like what we're capable of and where we're coming from in our background, just to really show that like we are capable of pulling off a project of this scale. These are just a few more examples from that class. I created an album jacket basically, and that was a collage that I actually imported into the computer. And then this was mostly done in Adobe Illustrator, and that was my first time really using Illustrator. So it just shows that we're able to not only create print things and translate them into digital, but we're also able to use multiple digital platforms to create our designs. So for an overview of our project, we kind of touched on this, but we've done event management in the past. We were able to completely plan and throw Dead Week Beats and the Yacht Club show and the different events on campus like open mic night. And so for this project, we really wanted to focus more on the design and the branding side of things. So as we talked about, we've created cohesive branding in the past, and we wanted to kind of translate that into something for a music festival. So festivals are something that we're both into and we're both passionate about. And so we wanted to create something that we would really love in the future and could stand alone as a portfolio piece when we're trying to look for jobs eventually. So the idea that we have for our festival is called Hattie's Gal. So the original person who founded Hattiesburg, his wife was named Hattie, and he named it after her. And so our festival is just kind of centered around a celebration of women. And so we wanted to have an all-female lineup with a female set of speakers and sponsors that were related to like women and that sort of thing, just because I feel like it's really relevant for the political climate we're in, and also in the music industry. A lot of times females are not included on the lineups, or it's a very male dominant lineup. And additionally, like with the music business side of things, a lot of times there aren't as many female producers, women in management roles. So we just really wanted to highlight all the good that women do in the music industry through our branding package. We have planned the dates for March, and that centers around Women's Month and International Women's Day. And this is all to just kind of tie it all together and have a relevant timeline for it. So part of MEA 490 this semester, we had to basically go through 5 different articles, and we chose our own articles. And so we just wanted to touch on those a little bit and how they informed our project. So originally we were not going to collaborate together, and the more we saw each other's project presentations and we're talking to each other, we realized that our interests were very closely aligned. And so you'll see kind of some overlaps, but we chose different articles, obviously. So my first one is music cover design in the digital age. This was looking at the design of album covers and how people would rate them and that sort of thing. So it was just a good overall introduction into general design in the music industry. Next was an article. It was actually a dissertation from somebody at the University of Southern Mississippi, and it's basically looking at branding concepts and applying them to social media. So obviously for our branding package, we want to create social media copy. So I just found that this was really helpful in seeing how they actually applied these different concepts that maybe I've learned about in marketing, but it wasn't really sure how to translate into design. The third one was a complete rebranding of Celestial Teas, and Debbie Millman basically went through and showed the different processes that she went through to rebrand Celestial Tea. And so it started from sketches and all that and went to obviously the final product. So that was very informative and just really showed the process of everything. And then the fourth one, I started focusing a lot more on market segmentation because I knew that was something we were going to have to do for our own festival. And so these music genre stereotypes kind of inform the different segments in the music industry, because a lot of times segmentation isn't necessarily demographic, it's along genres. And then the last one is Lady Hawk Music Festival, and this is actually basically a trade dress package that somebody put together for an all-female music festival. So obviously we're going to be taking it in a little bit of a different direction than this person did with their design, but it was still very informative just to see all the elements that she included and the different designs that she actually chose and how she communicated an all-female festival.
So these next 5 are going to be my articles. So my first one was from Eventbrite's blog, and it was titled "The Most Effective Strategies for Your Music Festival Marketing." And Rachel Gray goes into the importance of, quote, festies, and those are people who are always going to festivals no matter what the lineup is, because they just love the festival atmosphere and stuff, and they act as influencers to their friends and influence them to start going to festivals. So making sure that we are marketing to festies in the Hattiesburg and surrounding areas is going to be a really important thing for our festival. The next one is called "The Influence of Sponsor Event Congruence and Sponsorship of Music Festivals." This is more of a journal piece, and it was about how when you do have a music festival, your theme needs to go with the event sponsors. So since our music festival is all about women and women empowerment, we would want to make sure like our sponsors are congruent with that theme. So using a brand like Axe body spray would not be congruent, so we can't do that. But maybe looking into using like Tampax as a brand, because that brand, empowers women and women use those feminine products all the time. That could be a really good way to make sure those are congruent together. The next one is Fire Festival as a marketing success story. So Fire Festival was not a success story overall, but its marketing was impeccable. So they used an idea and like an overall feeling of like longing to be rich and famous as their strategy to appeal to the target market. And they use that through a lot of social media campaigns, using influencer marketing and so many other things. And that's what made so many people want to go to Fire Festival, even though it was just, not a good time. My next one is Crescendo Battle of the Bands trade dress elements. So like Anna talked about with her Lady Hawk Music Festival, Crescendo is kind of the same feel for article wise. So it goes into the trade dress and all the different elements that are needed for a music festival, like in the design world. So that's looking at posters, logos, colors, primary colors, secondary colors, signage, tents, all kinds of things. So seeing that was really helpful to understand like what else we need to add to our list of things that we're getting ready to design. And then my last one is about how PR helped Bonnaroo. So this article is about 10 years old, but I thought it was still really relevant because it does talk about how public relations helped Bonnaroo in its first years. So since our festival would be in its first year, using public relations is vital because it is technically free advertising. And since Bonnaroo actually had one of the lowest advertising budgets, and they were still able to sell out due to their PR efforts. So I thought that was really important and will help us when we start working on our PR for our festival as well. So our project process. So right here where all these images are from our mood board that we created together. So when we were talking about, sharing ideas and like working on our project together, we wanted to make sure that we could be on the same page and that we would, want our festival to look similar at the very least. So when we started sharing things on this mood board on Pinterest, we found that we were sharing a lot of the same ideas and like all these concepts would go together in a way. The colors are very similar, the illustrations are very similar, the logos are similar, and so that was really cool to see that we would be on the same page for this whole project. Next, we wanted to decide on festival details. So we have decided on the name, and that is Hattiesgale Fest. Next, we are going to be working on the trade dress, which is the primary and secondary and all the colors for for our marketing plans and things, and then working on fonts, deciding on serif or sans serif, or if we want to go in a different route, and then also working on a logo to make sure everything ties together and everything works as a whole. After that, we'll start working on mock-ups. So the first one we want to work on is posters, and we want to work on that together. And then we'll just kind of branch out from there. So we'll do handbills, merchandise like t-shirts and masks, social media posts, and festival guide slash map. So that'll actually go in the ticket. When everyone gets their tickets in the mail, there's usually like a big package and it has fun things in it. And the ticket's usually a wristband nowadays. And it'll have the festival guide in their ticket packaging and stuff. And so they can have more information on how the festival is going to work and what to wear and things like that. So with the separate materials, since I'm a public relations and advertising minor, I'm going to be working more with the public relations side. So working on press releases, radio advertisements, and the festival guide are going to be like my main points. And since Anna is a marketing minor, her main points are going to be working with the sponsors, the business plan, and the marketing research.
Cool. So these are just a little bit more specifics about our actual project process. So as we talked about, we've already kind of established a market, so women. But beyond that, we're going to look a little bit more of how we specifically can segment those women. And then from there, we talked about this a little bit, but we're going to establish trade dress and overall branding concepts. These are just really important to continue throughout the whole process, to keep us centered on a central idea. Lanie mentioned that we are going to collaborate on some elements, but we're going to branch out on others. So this just kind of details a little bit more specifically which ones we're going to work on individually versus both of us working on. And I think it's just really important to note that we're going to each come up with our own sketches and ideas for the merchandise, for the signage, for the wristbands and ticket packaging. That way we can come together and review our drafts and review our sketches and kind of synthesize those ideas to make sure that it's both really our own project and we're not sort of creating her design and my design, but rather taking elements that we like from both and just making it the best design possible in a collaborative effort. And then obviously we're going to draft those final print and digital materials. And then the last part of our project will be our research paper. So this is like a little calendar that we made as part of our paper proposal, and it's basically just attaching a date to everything so we can have a benchmark goal to make sure that we finish on time. One of the big things that I want to note is that we are going to be working over Christmas break. I feel like Christmas break is long this year, so it gives us plenty of time to create and really have space where we don't necessarily have a whole lot of coursework that's bogging us down, and so we can really use that time to sketch and zoom and talk about everything and just really make sure that the design part comes through. In the spring, I feel like we're really going to be focusing more on our own elements. So for Lanie, like her mini mag and any PR things she wants to do, and for me, my marketing plan. I really would like to create fake sponsor letters, like that sort of thing. And I feel like that's what is going to separate our project from just being a base level design project to really elevating it to the next level, is including these different elements. So this just makes sure that we're staying on track, and obviously we're trying to finish by the end of April, May 1st at the very latest, just to have everything ready to be submitted. And then this is our research paper outline. We just wanted to touch on a little bit. We know that we still have to do a 10-page research paper in addition to our project. And so this is just a little bit of an outline of everything that we want to cover in the paper. So for our introduction, I think it's just really important to address the music industry today and what's happening in the industry today. And then sort of relate our project to that and really show that our project is something that's current, it is something that's relevant. And even though COVID is kind of impeding festivals right now, that doesn't mean we won't have festivals or a need for festival design in the future. So I just think that's really important to touch on. The second part, and one of the main parts, is going to be a literature review of different branding concepts. So this is going to obviously address like the marketing mix. So if you don't know what that is, it's going to be promotion, place, product, and price. And we're going to hit on all of those elements and basically what they mean in marketing literature and how they apply to our project. Market segmentation, as we've talked about, brand positioning and brand personality. I just feel like these are some really important concepts that if we don't have the basic definitions and we don't have the research and the knowledge behind them, like our whole project could kind of fall apart because it is centered around these very important concepts. We're also going to review other similar projects. So I know for both of our article assignments, we looked at those trade dress packages, and I just really think that they're very informative of how other designers who are professionals have kind of tackled these sort of projects. And so I think it's important to have a review of some of those other projects and how they informed our scope and how they informed just our overall design. And then another large part of our research paper that I think is going to be a really cool element to add is a project journal. So as we go through over Christmas break and as we start actually creating these, we really want to detail each and every step along the way so that at the end we can see, okay, this is everything we've done. Like maybe here's where it could have gone wrong, here's where it could have gone better, and just areas of improvement, and really talking with our advisor. And obviously in the conclusion, I talk about a final review of the project. I just think it's important to always critique your own work because there's always things that you can improve on and do better for in the future. And I think that by taking a step back and looking at our process and looking at the overall design, I think it could be really informative for when we do one day hopefully have a professional project that we're working on. And then lastly, we're going to end with implications for further research and maybe further design opportunities. I think it's just important to address where this could go in the future and how it could benefit others.